Great. So, hello, dear friends. I'm so glad to have you here with me today. I'm honored that you have allowed me to be part of your journey of creating better relationships and creating really what you want for your life, for you in your relationships. As you know, most of you have been receiving a series of daily emails about enforcing relationships and improving your relationship with yourself and others. That's going to keep coming until December 30th. And, I think the reason I chose this topic is, first of all, because New Year is coming, and some of us, because of COVID, the situation that this pandemic, we mostly lived online, and our relationships probably have been limited to text and Zoom calls. So I thought, reviewing what's essential in building better relationships probably can benefit us all. So, and I thought, what's a better time than, this holiday, a wonderful holiday season. It's a perfect time because we're spending time with our family and friends, and we can have the chance to practice what we learn. So there have been times that myself, I regretted. Actually, a lot of times that I said something or did something, and I wish I had the chance to go back and take the time back and redo what happened. How about you? How often have you walked away, for example, from a conversation with someone and you felt disappointed or frustrated because of what you said or what you heard? How often have you wished that you could be more honest with people and tell them that they disappointed you, and you didn't do that? We all know communicating with people in a proactive and positive way takes a lot of work. And actually, I believe, and many believe, that it starts with the ability to be honest and kind to ourselves first. Like, relationship to ourselves determine the kind of relationship we can have with other people. It's my belief, that God's work is perfect. And that perfection is the essence of who and what we are, you are, and all of us are. And the problem many of us are facing is that we fail to recognize and express this perfection, this unlimited potential that we have. Our conditioning and programming that we receive during our lifetime made us believe that something new always needs to be added to us in order for us to be complete, in order for us to be enough. When in fact, we have all the resources that we need. We have everything within us already. It's there because God created us perfect. Most of us, and including myself, never learned up until probably 12, 13 years ago, how to live from this awareness that we are already enough the way we are. And so we judge ourselves, we judge other people, and we feel we lack talent or potential. James Allen, that I'm sure all of you know who he is, teaches us this very simple principle. He says, we don't get what we want in our lives. We get what we believe we are. So it's very crucial for us to first fill our own cup. Because as John Maxwell says, you cannot export that which you don't know you have. And he's so right. We can't give what we don't have. If we don't have a good relationship with ourselves, if we don't love ourselves, if we're not kind to ourselves, and we're not forgiving to our own self, how can we be doing the same thing to other people? I think all of great teachers throughout history have tried to teach us this principle, that we first need to believe in ourselves, right? We first need to believe in ourselves, and we need to be kind and forgiving to ourselves, and to be kind and forgiving to others. So we need to first add value to ourselves in order to add value to other people. So the truth is, we are made perfect in the image of God. So why aren't we perfect then? So it's a legitimate question. So why everything is not perfect in my life? Why I'm not perfect? It's because our results are imperfect. There's nothing wrong with us. There's something wrong with our programming. There is a huge difference here. Like, to understand the depth of this difference, we need to separate ourselves, our being, from the behavior, from the attitude, from the results that we have in life. God's work is perfect, and our being, our life, is really the result of his perfect work. We were born perfect as a child, but after that, we were programmed, unfortunately, for success and for failure. So our programming is different from our nature. We should make this distinction here. By nature, we are explorers, right? But our programming says good things come to those who wait. So we wait and watch all these opportunities pass by us. By nature, we are risk takers, but our programming says, wait, better safe than sorry. So as a child, we're not scared of anything, but then we learn to be fearful of everything. By nature, we are goal getters, but our programming says, how are you going to do that? So we are going to doubt our capabilities and we don't take action. By nature, we have unconditional love in our hearts, but our programming says, beware of others and don't trust them. Don't talk to strangers. By nature, we have incredible imagination. Imagine a child, like you see they're sitting with themselves and they're imagining all kinds of things happening around them, like as if it's very realistic. But our programming says you've got to be realistic. You cannot put bread on the table with daydreaming. Our nature is highly intuitive, but our programming says keep your head out of the clouds. But you know what? The funny thing is, most of this programming is coming from the people who loved us the most. Our parents, our caretakers, our teachers, our friends, since when we were very young. Their intent was good, was out of love, but the beliefs were self-limiting. They had self-limiting beliefs about themselves and what was possible for them. And they taught us the same thing. They had so much love for us and wanted the best for us, but they could teach us all they knew and not more from their own point of view and knowledge. So we gradually and unfortunately lost touch with all of the resources that nature gave us and came to us naturally. And we started to act according to the programming that we received. But not all of our programming came from our parents. We were also programmed on the playground of life. The playground of life can be cruel. As a 5-year-old, we could be teased and laughed at and called names. And before we know it, the entire school can be calling us names and laughing at us. And that's hurtful. We feel humiliated. We feel smaller. And sadly, this causes to see, feel, and become aware of a false perception that we are not made in the image of God and in perfection. And then we begin to see imperfection in who we are. With this false perception, we develop a new awareness, a false awareness. It's an awareness of a dominant culture of influence in our life, the opinion of others, their judgments. We realize that it's important to be acceptable to others, and the opinion of others matter. And sometimes it is even more important than our own. We then experience this new model that we need to be accepted by others. And we try to fit in, to diminish ourselves, to fit in the mold that is fabricated and accepted by others. But we don't realize that this model will deprive us from the very resources we need to achieve in life later on. And this model has a price, and this price is huge. So this learning model teaches us to judge others too, because we then see their imperfections. And this way, like, we can tease them and direct the focus away from our own imperfections. And then we feel powerful again. And this is why we see a culture of judgment, bullying, and harassment. This learning model teaches us to value the opinion of others more than our own opinion of ourselves. This model teaches us not to express our hurt and pain because we appear weak and we don't want to be hurt anymore. So we stop talking about our feelings. But this model is more destructive when we get older. It makes us miss opportunities when we are 20. It creates sabotaging behavior when we turn like 35, 45 years old. And this model creates our life's regrets when we are 50 and 60 years old. We all went through this stage of life, all of us, and we picked bad and destructive learning models. And these models are the reason for not having what we want to have, or being what we want to be, and doing what we dreamt to do once upon a time. The problem is most of us don't know our problem is just a bad model that can be changed. We don't know it's a learned habit that has formed long ago in our childhood and has stopped us from fulfilling our life purpose and reaching our full potential. We just believe that lie. Which lie? That we cannot do it any better, that we cannot build better relationships, we cannot have a better job, we cannot have and do better in life. We believe in these lies. And I believed in my own lies for years. Until about 12, 13 years ago, I believed in the same lies, but then everything changed. In an event that was called I Can Do It, I learned that in fact I was my own enemy. And I was the one who was believing in my mental obstacles and in my own self-limiting beliefs. Then one seminar after another, one book after another. And finally, I joined a group of people that were trying to overcome their own self-limiting beliefs and reach their potential. I saw very successful people and heard how they overcome their struggles. And then I learned success also has a model, a pattern. It's a learning model. I learned that I have to know myself first to better myself. I learned about personalities, about personality preferences and types, and how we are structurally and mentally born different from others. And even we're different from our own family members because of a very valid reason. We're born differently. I learned that by understanding the patterns of behavior in different personality styles, I can get along with others. That can help me build better relationships and help other people do the same. So what are the different personality styles I'm talking about? It's in fact 4 styles, and then a mixture of these 4, and the strengths, weaknesses, trigger points, and communication styles of each one. It's an art and a science, and it's life-changing. Today, we talk about building better relationships with ourselves and others. And I will not have the time to explore these personality styles, but I will soon invite you to do a real assessment to find your personality style. So you can learn exactly who you are, learn deep down what is stressing you, what's motivating you, How are you dealing with your friends? What's your natural tendency around people? You will learn what are the things you can do to grow and grow more in life and build better relationships and a better life for yourself and family. So you will receive an email from me in January. So if you want to be doing this assessment, make sure to write your name in the chat for me so I know you want to do it and you want to know more. So now um, I our relationships really determine, as I said, our relationship to others, our self relationship, our relationship to ourselves really determine our relationship to others. It's how we think about ourselves that really form the basis of our belief about others. So let's talk about different kinds of relationship we have and about our interpersonal relationships. The term interpersonal relationship really it means an association, a connection between individuals who share common interests and common goals. We can break down interpersonal relationships into different categories. Um, so there are one, two, three, four types actually. We have familial um, relationships, interpersonal relationships, friendships, professional, and romantic. So in any interpersonal relationship, we usually have some common goals or objectives or similar interests. And we usually, and we need to respect each other and respect other people's views and opinions. And usually our relationship should be built on trust and honesty. So the first one, as we said, is our familial relationships. And that is the most important interpersonal relationship, right? It's our family, with our family. Family, as we know, plays an important role in protecting children, in meeting their physical needs for survival at first. And while we as family provide emotional support and education to our children and received it from our parents and caretakers. Familial relationships, as we know, are the only category of interpersonal relationships which are involuntary. So we cannot choose our parents, our siblings. The next one is friendships. Friendships are voluntary. So unlike our familiar relationships, we choose our friends. We usually also have shared interests, experiences, and attitudes that are shared in our friendship. There are many types of friendships we experience in life, but today we'll focus on the most meaningful type, which is the true friendship. So true friends are those people who provide emotional support, add value to our life, and true friendship should stay good. Should stay with us and should not die during good and bad times. And usually we don't have any expectations in return in a good and solid relationship. The next one is our professional relationships. Professional relationships, as we know, are created out of circumstance, right? Beyond working for the same organization, for example, we can have very little interaction with our professional relationships. A team member can be a co-worker and we work closely with them during the working hours, but they might be slightly closer to us than an acquaintance, but not necessarily someone we call a friend. A work friend is someone you have a personal connection with, someone you might have lunch with, sit with them in a meeting or attend events outside of work, but they also are our support system during working hours, but not necessarily someone we can call friend. Not necessarily, but they could be. And the last but not least type of interpersonal relationships we have are romantic relationships that are often the most emotionally and physically intimate among the different relationship categories. So romantic relationships create a deep attachment, passion, trust, and respect, and are the closest form of voluntary relationship. And this will lead to usually a secure connection or bond between two people that they can't share with anyone else. So, romantic relationships meet our needs for companionship, belonging, affection, emotional support, and validation, of course. So, why our relationships are important? Why should we give so much attention and care for building good relationships? Because research has shown that good relationships help us to have mental health, better well being, and a longer lifespan. Also, relationships are important because they are supporting us, helping us to cope with stress or adversity. A strong relationship helps a person learn, grow, explore, achieve goals, cultivate new talents, find purpose and meaning in life. They help us to have happiness and life satisfaction, have purpose in life, have positive self esteem. So, relationships can also um, help us, as I said, grow because we learn from someone, from our mentors, from people that long ago, they learn things that they share with us, and we want to do the same thing. So now let's talk about the evaluation of relationships. We all know with technology, our relationships have drastically changed. In fact, over the recent years, technology had good and bad influence in the way we communicate because we can now develop relationships with anyone on the planet. So that's a good thing, right? But it has opened many doors for new relationships, but also it has reduced from the depth of our relationships. We have 24-hour unlimited access to communication, but we should ask ourselves, are we really communicating? We talk and text without expressing real emotions. We send emojis to communicate our emotions like we are laughing out loud, right? But we're not really having the experience of actually laughing together. As a result, there are some skills we have lost or are in the process of failing. It's natural for relationships to change and evolve, but it's also very essential to make true connections along the way and experience it, really experience it. So let's take a look at the tools that we can use now to help build stronger relationships. The first one is positivity. We can't be happy all the time, that's impossible. But building strong relationships need positivity. It's easy for us to pull others down with us when we're having a bad day, isn't it? But when we have too many days like that, it's going to cause others to go search for other people to have more cheerful experience with people that are happier and more positive. So that goes for any type of relationship we are trying to cultivate or strengthen. When we have a positive attitude, people will be attracted to our positive force, to our positive energy. What we put out, we get back. If our energy is negative and frustrated, that may be reflected in our interactions with others, and usually is. When we're experiencing negative emotions, instead of taking them out on other people and feeling angry and or blaming others, we need to refocus our attention. For example, we can try helping someone in need. Even smiling when we are going through a difficult time can help us remain positive. And I've tried that. It really helps. When you're just smiling, that smile is going to change your mood and it's going to change your vibration. That's a fact. And also, we need to be careful with whom we are spending time with for the sake of our own energy. We need to think about how we feel after spending time with different people. If we find ourselves feeling down, negative, or drained by some relationships, we need to stay back from that relationship. It's very, very important. So if it keeps happening and happening and happening, and there's nothing we can do about it, so we have to stay back or limit that relationship. Next, the other tool after positivity is to show that we care. This is so important. It's easy to take our relationships for granted, whether it's a close friend, a coworker, a romantic partner, husband, wife. Showing we care for them and for our relationships is a great way to strengthen that relationship. Because why? Everyone wants to feel appreciated. No? So we should not be stingy with giving thanks or saying how we feel when we feel well, no matter how small. If someone did something that we liked and appreciated, we should let them know. This will make both of us feel valued and appreciated. So, for example, in any relationship, try to identify at least one thing, that in that relationship you value and appreciate, and let that person know about it. By showing them that we care about them and about our relationship, we also teach them and encourage them to do the same thing for us. Well, the next one is to be considerate, and it's so important. It's really important to take note of what's happening in the lives of people that are around us, important to us, and we're dealing with on a daily basis. We can strengthen any relationship when we participate in their happiness, and when we show care and compassion when they face problems. That means we need to have empathy, because having compassion for others strengthens our connection. And also, something that is unfortunate is manners get lost too, especially when we spend a lot of time with someone, with a person. But spending a lot of time with someone doesn't mean manners are less important. In fact, I want to tell you that, being polite and having manners is much more than saying please and thank you. It means understanding and acknowledging other people's feelings. That's what it is. So we need to make sure we acknowledge our mistakes. We need to own our own mistakes and apologize for when we make a mistake in our relationship, when we make someone feel bad, because everyone makes mistakes. But taking responsibility and owning our mistakes is the sign of strength and being considerate. Okay. Yeah, this is very, very important, being an active listener. Active listening, it is very, very crucial, but unfortunately has become a lost art. Most people think listening is just hearing someone. Well, active listening is hearing too, but also recognizing and respecting someone's perspective. Most of the times, we are too quick to say something when somebody is talking to us, right? I do it, you do it, all of us do it. We are actually thinking about our own response when people are talking to us about something. And we're talking about our own answers. We really don't take the time to understand what they're really trying to tell us. How well we listen to people impacts the quality of our relationship with them. It is extremely crucial. When we find it difficult, for example, to concentrate on what someone is telling us, there's a trick. We can try to mentally repeat their words in our own head to reinforce the message. So we can try active listening by paying attention and giving the speaker our undivided attention. We're there 100% for that person at that moment. We're all ears. Also, by showing that we're listening through acknowledgement, body language, nodding, eye contact, all of that shows that we're there, 100% present. By reflecting on what we are hearing, by repeating it in our head, and sometimes by just repeating it to the person just to clarify, or by asking questions, because that also shows that we're there, we're listening, right? So we should not, and also it's bad to interrupt someone, because no one likes to be interrupted unless it's very necessary. We should try to stay patient and listen to the end, because that also shows respect and understanding. Yes, settling conflicts. Everyone at some point will have conflicts in relationships, right? That's very normal. But knowing how to respectfully solve that problem, that conflict, can really help us to keep that relationship and even make it stronger. So here is some of the things we can do to settle conflicts in a healthier way. Talk about the problems when they happen right away. Do not wait. If we can't let someone tell us something and let go and forget it, if we can't do it, we should talk about it right away before it turns into a larger issue. We have to face it right there and then. Because if we wait, we're going to think about it and we create something out of nothing. But it might be some kind of a small misunderstanding. So by kindness and by tolerance and understanding, we just want to know what happened, and we just talk about it right there, and we solve it, put it aside. Because if I'm angry at someone, I'm going to show attitude, right? I'm not going to talk to them, or I'm going to do something to get my revenge, and that creates a reaction. And that little misunderstanding that might have been, even if it's small misunderstanding, could have been solved by a clarification, can turn into a mountain of problems later on. So it's recommended that we should talk about that quickly before it turns into a larger issue. We should remember that, in any relationship, it's not about winning or losing. It's not about winning an argument. We should try to be there to solve the problem, not to win a situation. That's a huge difference. And we should try to let go of past hurts and problems and not focus on those problems when we have a new problem happening. We should not bring the past into this current problem, because by doing that, we're not going to solve any problems, right? It's just going to accumulate, more problems over problems. The past problems that haven't been resolved, now they're still coming to the new problems. And guess what? It's going to get worse. And let me tell you, conflict is already draining and stressful. So it's important to make sure whether this intervention, this conflict, is worthy of our time and energy. Sometimes it's better not to open the can of worms if we think that, this is going to create more problems, right? If we can let go and if we can forgive. So we need to be willing to forgive and know when to let something go. But we also need to know when to put a relationship aside when it gets too draining and creates a lot of stress and negativity to our life. And is a waste of energy and time. Okay. What is the next tool? We need to do to others what we expect from them, right? If you want to have a healthy relationship, we need to think about the qualities that we expect in others. If you want people to be kind and respectful to us, it's only natural that we need to really treat them the same way, right? If we expect a colleague to be respectful of our opinions when our opinions are different, and we expect them to listen to us politely, we should ask ourselves, do we do the same thing with the same level of respect? Maybe we expect a close friend to be a shoulder to cry on when things are difficult. Do we show up for them in the same way? Do we care when they are in trouble too? So no matter what the relationships are, it's important to examine our own expectations from others and make sure our expectations are realistic and that we are doing the same thing for others. Okay, the next tool is we need to be a great communicator. What does that mean? Communication is not just talking to someone, is not just having a conversation, is connecting with others. It's not true that just because we talk to someone, we're communicating. It's not true. Communication is more than talking. It's about more than having a conversation. It's about connecting by using our verbal, written, physical skills to fulfill the needs of any relationship. So many of the techniques we already discussed here help to improve communication. But I'm going to repeat the following three that I believe they're very important again. So we should stop and listen, because active listening is crucial. We have to actively listen and forget about what we want to say in return at that moment. So instead of trying to quickly giving our point of view, and we should give our full attention to what the other person is saying, and then we should actually repeat what they said to us in our head to make sure that we understood, and also repeat it to them to get clarification, to make sure we're understanding it well. We need to be open and honest in our communications. When we hide or hold back our emotions, it's leading to bigger issues. When we are feeling hurt, we need to say it. If we don't communicate what we are feeling, the other person may never know. So being open also means being ready to hear the truth when someone else is communicating their feelings openly, when they're hurt. We also should pay attention to nonverbal signals, because some communication is not always about what we hear, about what's said, but about how it's said. So we can learn a lot from the tone of the voice or gesture of someone when they're talking to us. We talked about self-awareness. Research shows that we see ourselves clearly. When we see ourselves clearly, we are self-aware and we know who we are. We can build stronger relationships and communicate more effectively. Self-awareness is having a clear understanding of our own strengths, of our own weaknesses, our thoughts, beliefs, motivations, emotions, is cultivating a strong sense of self-awareness that allows us to understand other people better and help them to see us and to understand how they are seeing us. Actually, this is what we can do through the personality evaluation that I talked about. The method of assessment we do reveal that our blind spots, our true self, and the way we are acting to be acceptable, like the mask we're wearing. It will teach us how to improve our weaknesses and use and enforce our strengths to become even the better version of ourselves in any setting, in any relationship. in our relationship to ourselves, to our family, to in personal settings, in professional settings, in our friendships, in romantic relationships. This assessment helps us to look at ourselves objectively, and it will be done less than 20 minutes. And the answers reveal so much about us to ourselves. It's customized based on our answers, and we will use it for for bettering our relationships, and also to be to using that to make sure that we can improve ourselves, and we know what are our strengths, innate strengths, and then utilize them. Because I'm not saying most of the time, but many times we don't know what they are. People see it, sometimes we don't see them. So it's really great. So I just want to share with you one thing. My husband is, we have 4 personality types. One of them is a C personality. So C personalities are usually very structured, very detail oriented. They are quiet people. They always look at the facts, and they want to have a lot of proofs, and they are very loyal, but also they are very disciplined. And so they're usually I would say scientists are the best example of someone with a strong C personality. So my husband, being a scientist and also being a C personality for years, and me being an ISD personality, we had a conflict, really. I wasn't able to understand why he was expressing his feelings. Why was he quiet? Why wasn't he really enjoying his time around the people as much as I did? Like, for example, we're going to a party and then he wanted to leave at 11, and I was just had started. I wanted to like dance at 11. I was just warmed up. So it was creating a lot of, unanswered questions, I would say. And, I would say just creating something, building up something, until I started learning about, I'm telling you, different personalities. And I learned that, oh my gosh, he's a C. And the reason he's really good in what he's doing, and the reason that I can actually depend on him on so many things that I'm not able to do as perfectly as he does, is because he's so different from me. Is because he actually fulfills me, and he's filling the gaps. And up to that point, that was for me was like, why our upbringing is different, our cultures are different, and all of a sudden that switched to our strengths are different. We are born differently, our brains are structured differently. And then this answers all got, those questions got answered one by one. And that misunderstanding was replaced by respect and mutual understanding. And I'm telling you, it's life-changing. It's truly amazing. Okay, now I know this was a lot of information. You will receive the replay, of course. But I also want to share the references with you. If you want to take a picture, I want to actually, wait a second. Yeah, I'm gonna show this to you so you can get a print shot, screenshot of this page. And if you wanna just refer to these resources, they're quite helpful. So things that I shared with you, there are some of the stuff that are not here, but most of the things that we shared are coming from these tools, which you're welcome to go and explore for yourself and find out, if there is anything else that you would like to know in that area. Wonderful. I'm going to stop sharing the screen, and I want you to now share with me, what do you think about, one thing that you learned today first, and also, um, what are your experience? How do you build better relationships with other people? So I just, can I call your names, or would you just go and volunteer? Who's my first volunteer? Okay, I'm gonna call you then. Gary, my friend. Oh, Ali, are you leaving? It's okay. Yeah, thank you so much for being here with us. Oh, sorry. So Ali just left. He had to leave. Gary, are you here? Do you want to share with us your what was one takeaway, and also, um, how do you improve your relationships? I think Gary is momentarily away. Hisham, my friend. Hisham, are you here? I don't think anyone wants to share. That's okay. I don't know who this iPhone is. I don't have a name. Holly June, are you willing to share anything with us?
Yes, yes, I can. I can.
Hi, my friend.
Hello,
Lovely to
hello.
hear your
Yeah,
voice.
yeah, nice to see you. Nice to see you. Yes, could you please repeat your question?
I said one takeaway from this webinar, if there is any, and also
Yes.
your experience, anything that worked for you. And is there any, like, for example, challenges that you are working on and you were able to resolve?
Yeah.
It could be in any
Awesome.
kind of
So
interest.
there are a lot of things that I'm working on that in order to be a better person. But one thing that I
All
get
of them.
from what you have said and what you have presented is that the friendship is very important, I think, and
Yes, yes,
I take that the friendship brings this emotional support that you were talking about, and really
absolutely.
add a great value to our life, that is for me is the most. But what I am working on is maybe I am a little bit uh, uh, too much self-aware, and it's somehow being self-awareness is important, and but being too much self-aware, I think, is a little bit blocking, has a blocking effect. I don't know if we are talking about the same thing,
I
but
know what you mean.
yes, thinking about how you are going to be in this situation, how you are going to talk with that person, what he's going to tell you. Sometimes it's better to be a little bit, for me, maybe because I'm thinking a lot.
I know
So
what you mean
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go ahead.
But I think this being a better communicator, as you were saying, is very important. Is all these things that you said, we know, but is thank you
Absolutely.
very much to say that again, because we forget,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely. Absolutely.
we are taken by our you know the sometimes we lose control, and we forget to
Absolutely.
be the positive thinker and to show care, and it's good to repeat all of these this step to ourselves. um
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, that was
You're welcome,
very
my friend. You're welcome. And just to respond to being too self-aware, I just want to say, I can word it differently. I would say I have too much self-doubt.
yes.
Because being self-aware is different from having doubts. When we have doubts of, if what I'm doing is right or wrong, that absolutely creates a lot of obstacles. in our relationships. That's probably different from self-awareness. What I was trying to convey is to understand, why am I acting this way? You know, why am I trying to respond to this in this situation? Why am I responding to this person with anger? To understand where this emotion is coming from. Why am I being this way? So self-aware doesn't mean what I'm going to say is good or bad, or should I hesitate or go ahead. Is about understanding the root causes of our behavior, our actions, which is going to resolve a lot of problems in our relationships. For example, we talked about self-awareness at the very beginning. All scientists are telling us that up to year when we turn 7 years old, we're already programmed. It's done. And after 7 years old, we're just repeating the same patterns of behavior over and over again until we're 14. And after 14, it's just duplicating the experience or in a different ways. So it's crucial. We think that when a child is like 1 year old, they're not understanding anything. In fact, they are recording everything in their subconscious mind. So understanding that we have a model of behavior that could be faulty, and we have the power and we can change it, is a very, very, I think, empowering. And
Yes.
that is a self-awareness.
Okay.
That's understanding that, I am in control and I can change what's wrong. And then when I think about this situation, that when somebody tells me something, it pisses me off for no reason. They didn't say anything bad, but it triggers some experience from the past when I had something was told to me that created pain and suffering, and that was never addressed, was never resolved. Then this brings the same emotions again, and that takes me there, takes my energy there. This is self-awareness. This is self-observation. Actually, in fact, you just reminded me, I have some in exercise. It's a wonderful exercise. Might take about 5 minutes. If you guys want, I can take you through this exercise together, which is self-observation and self-awareness. If everybody has time, I'm just go ahead, Holly Juna, I specifically do this for you.
Thank you.
I hope that this would be useful. It was helpful for me. The things that I'm sharing here is the things that I had also problem, in my life. We all had problems in our relationships at some point in life. Like there were some relationships, maybe friendships, that didn't work there. So there's always pain, and the lesson that we learn that is the force for us to go ahead and seek advice to improve the situation. So let me just find that exercise and go through this together. Okay, so here it says, I want you to slow down the next time you get dressed or tie your shoe or begin to cut your food. I mean, way, way down. Slow down and just be still and begin to observe how you do what you are doing. Observe with which hand you start with. Observe how you breathe when you bend, which hand goes on top. Just observe and ask, when did I learn how to do this? Who taught me this? Where was I when I learned this? How long did it take me to learn this? How difficult it was to learn and train my muscles and hand-eye coordination to do this. Just allow yourself to recognize that there was a time in your life when you could not do that. You couldn't do it. Realize the only reason you can do these things now is because you have built a learning model for doing it. And when you practiced and practiced that learning model, it became ingrained in your thinking and behavior. And now You live from that knowing. Then observe the next time you want to go to the gym and you don't. Observe the next time you want to call that prospect and you don't. Observe the next time you want to extend love to another person, but you don't. Observe the next time you feel afraid of taking the next step in your life and you don't. Then slow way down and be still. Then ask, when did I create this learning model of quitting? Where was I when I first remember using this model of quitting? Who has supported me in keeping this model? What has using this model cost me in my life? Was there a time in my life that this model served me? Does this model serve me anymore? Knowing my behavior is driven by a learning model based on my beliefs. What are my beliefs in this learning model called quitting? What would I want my beliefs to be? What should I call this new learning model? I probably can call this observational thinking, right? This is observational thinking. So this process of observational thinking is very, very powerful. So it's been found that observational thinking to do is to allow an interruption between our thoughts and behaviors. It really creates a space for self-evaluation at the time of the program thinking and behavior. If we do it enough time over time, the new awareness begins to short circuit the program model. That's the only way. When we want to change a certain behavior, the only way is by observing and introducing a new model of behavior. We cannot destroy an old model. We just have to, stop feeding that behavior. By not doing it and by replacing it with the new model and feeding that new model, we're just destroying. Basically, we're not those neurons, the old neurons will die, and then new neurons, as we know with new information, will be created in the brain. And as you do it more and more, that area, the new brains will be enlightened, and then they create more and more neurons of the same, and
Yes.
that habit becomes really strong. And we have to remember that if you want, for our own children, which for me as a mother, this has extreme value in my life. Learning these things, I'm always thinking about my children, like how can I use these to help my children, like how I can teach her something that sticks, how I can change a old pattern that I believe is wrong by introducing a new model and help her repeat it and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. So I'm thinking about this intentionally, So at first is like difficult, but over time it becomes like a directive, like a suggestion. So it becomes really automatic after a while. Usually they say after 66 days, this becomes much better accepted because that part of the brain is already has those neurons and they're strong.
Yes. Yes.
I hope that was helpful, Halogen.
Yes, thank you. Can I ask a question? For example, for you said that there's a model of self-doubt. For example,
Yes.
how you are going to counter that if you are thinking, for example, I'm going to for example have an interview and I'm not feeling really
Yeah.
on the top, and so how you are going to counter that? What are you which are your advices?
First of all, we have to know that self-doubt is very normal, right? It's very natural. We all have it. I think usually by trying to avoid something, we actually make it stronger. So we should not persist to say that it doesn't exist. I don't have self-doubt. because by avoiding something and by pushing it back, it actually comes back much stronger. Okay, so any feeling like fear, anxiety, self-doubt, hesitation, and all of these things are caused because we are faced with an unknown situation. You don't know what's going to happen in that interview, right? You don't know if that person would ask you questions that you know. You don't know if you get you be good in that interview, if you're going to do it well or not. So all of that situation is caused by an unknown result. Okay, so that's very normal. Human beings are created that way. And in our brain, we have a part of the brain that is responsible for stress, and it's called amygdala. Amygdala is actually creating stress. Why? When we have the signal of self-doubt or anxiety or fear, whatever happens, in that part of the brain is going to send signals to the other part of the brain, and that the part of the brain is going to just we're going to have some hormones that are released, including cortisol and epinephrine, and those chemicals are creating three things, which are the primitive people were created with this mechanism, which was very, very beneficial, on those days. We call it fight or flight and freeze. So when we were primitive human beings, that was useful to us because that assured our survival. But now we don't need it because it's something, it doesn't exist. We're not faced with a wild animal. We do not to go for hunting and we might face an animal. So it's something that is created in the brain by an unknown situation. So first, when we say self-awareness, is to understand that, when I'm going to this interview, I am going to have these feelings before or after. A lot of things we can do. The thing that we can do actually is to help our amygdala to quiet, to actually calm down. What are the things we can do? I would always, actually, I have a course that a video that I'm going to send to you, Halejun. I think that's specifically is going to answer that question because it's exactly managing stress, anxiety, self-doubt, how we're going to do it. So one of the things we are doing after exploring what's happening in the brain when we're stressed is several things we can do. And also I recommend this techniques to my students before taking exams because it's extremely important. We know stress management is crucial for students. So one of them is deep inhalation, deep breathing. So before going to that interview, we recommend taking deep breaths for 10 to 12 times. And every time you do a deep breathing, when you see your stomach is actually bulging and all the air is going to the stomach, and then you release the air, you exhale when you're emptying the entire whatever air is in the stomach. So it just flattening the stomach, and then at the same time, so it's giving a lot of oxygen to the brain, to our circulation system, and then that is helping the amygdala to calm down. Is extremely helpful. So when you are in a situation that you feel that your pulse is speeding and your heart is beating faster, or there are your hands are getting sweaty, because these are the signs of anxiety and self-doubt and fear. Self-doubt comes from fear. All of these things, when you see that it's coming, start doing the deep breathing. And do it for 10 times. And every time that you keep it for 4 seconds in, and then give it out like you're giving out that air from a straw, like this, for 4 seconds. So do that. That's one. Then I'm sorry, Hisham, I just saw that you raised your hand. I'm just going to finish and I will.
No problem, Azita.
Thank
No
you,
problem.
my friend.
No problem.
Merci beaucoup.
Je t'en prie. Okay.
And then we're going to, the next one is meditation. Your meditation, you cannot really do it just, let's say, when you're going to the interview, but you can do it the night before. You can do it the day, in the morning. You can do it maybe 2-3 seconds of meditation just by focusing on your breathing, just by listening to your breathing, just by looking at the movement of your body when your stomach is getting bulging, and when you're flattening your stomach. I want you to just look at this movement, because by just focusing on that movement and the sound of your breathing, those thoughts are going to get out of your head, and your amygdala is going to slow down, and then you're going to calm that amygdala, and the release of cortisol and epinephrine and norepinephrine is gonna stop. Okay, so then your body gets back to the normal situation. So there are other things that we can do. Is yoga is very important. Exercise is very important. All of these things are helping your brain to calm down the amygdala. And then at that moment, because you know what, when you have self-doubt, which is caused by the fear at that moment of not being good enough, or not being smart enough, or not being enough for that job, all of that are coming, these self-doubts are coming from self-limiting beliefs. This is a fact, we all have it, all of us. Recognizing, being self-aware that this is something normal is going to give you a lot of courage, that
freedom.
Freedom. Exactly, that this is normal, everyone has it, and I have it too, but there are ways I can actually reduce it. I know that there are ways for me to change that learning model, to believe more in myself. Now I know why I have these things, because I, like everybody else, our parents had also self-limiting beliefs, and that's the things that I picked from school, from my family, from other people, and then I started believing in those lies. And now I believe that I'm not enough, but I know that I'm the God's creation. I am born in God. I was born in God's image, and that means I'm perfect by nature. I'm a risk taker. I'm courageous, because then they say, if you want to call yourself, you have to always think of what would you call your what kind of attribute you would give to God, because that's who you are. You are the God in your own life, because God is in you, right? God has created you in his own image. So you have to feel that you are God too. So these are giving us the strength and awareness that I can do anything I want to do. And then by repeating these things, you're going to create this kind of belief and the new pattern of thinking. It becomes much easier to believe that, and that's how people do things that are impossible to most of us.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much,
Welcome,
Aziz. Thank you.
Hisham, you're welcome, my dear. Hisham, go ahead, my friend. Now you're away. Hisham, are you here? It's your turn. No, probably he's away. Elham June, do you have any questions? No?
No, thank you, Azita Jan, for time and information. But
you're
I
very welcome.
speak English not very well. I don't speak a lot. Sorry.
You are actually speaking very well, my friend. No,
thank you.
So that's why we were talking about today.
I'm listening for you.
Yeah, you're perfect, okay. And we all learn, and that just takes time. And you are perfect. So English is good. Don't tell you that.
Thank you so much for information and time. Thank you. I'm learning for you. Thank you.
You're wonderful. Patty, do you have anything you want to share?
Yes. What I have noticed is that the sentence, be the kind of friend that you want to have. I really know the kind of friend that I want to have. and I'm trying to acting like this, but most of the time I'm deceived, I'm disappointed, because I'm waiting to that I'm waiting for I want them to do the same for me. I think I know that it's not good to give and to wait for something in return, but I really miss that, and sometimes I stop to more focus on this friendship. And what I've noticed too, that the point show that you care. I really like to show that I'm caring for someone. When I have a friends that have problem, I'm one of the person that will come to listen. And but when I need someone, they are not really available, and that's why I'm deceived.
Call me,
But
my
what
friend.
I
I
have
always
learned,
be available.
yeah, and also I'm part of the family that don't share their feeling, their emotions.
Yes.
For example, my dad and my mom never said to me that they love me, but I know that they love me. And it's the same for me. We are not used to share our feelings,
Oh, you
but
have to share your feelings to Randy. I love
yes,
Randy.
that's
You
it.
have to
That's
do it.
it. That's it. My two boys are very, very, they are saying, I love you, mom, every day.
Aw.
When they come back home, they always call me at the office and say, what are you doing? When are you going back home? And then they finish, good luck for your work, and we love you every day, every day. And really
You are a lucky
feel,
mom. You are a lucky mom. Yeah, Patty is awesome.
it really
That's so
helped me
awesome.
yeah, it really helped me to learn to express my emotion, my feeling to others. Yeah.
You answered your own question. The friend that was not responding to your kindness and to your patience is watching you, is learning from you. But let me tell you, although it's awesome to teach other people how to behave, how to respond in a friendship, but sometimes you give and give and give and give and give, and your cup becomes too empty. And it's very normal for you to have this, not expectation, but to see that the other person is understanding the value of this friendship, right? Sometimes it's not about replicating or expectation. It's just you feel that you are just so drained. It's all about just what you have, not about what you get. And it's not, I'm saying it's not about expectation, but sometimes you feel you don't exist. You don't exist in this relationship. It's just a one-way relationship. You're just giving and giving and giving and giving, and you do that for years because you love that person, right? You share some stuff that they are very valuable to. It doesn't mean that you don't love that person. You will always love that person. But if you feel, in my opinion, that relationship is not only adding value to you, but is wasting your time, is wasting your energy, is wasting your livelihood, and especially that the other person does not know, prove to you that they don't know the value of the time, your kindness, your love, and it's just a one way for them. It becomes an expectation, that you are always there to give and give and give and give. So you do it for years, and then all of a sudden you wake up and say, why am I doing this? They don't even understand it, you know? And then that's the time for you to make a decision, because again, you are a person of value and you need to add value. Hale Jun, thank you so much for being here. Love you. So
thank you very much.
thank you, honey. So it's for you to, it's a time for you to say, okay, so now I have to make some good decisions here now, right? Am I going to continue, or am I going to stay in this relationship? If that's a family member, you know, you don't have a choice, right? You cannot you cannot say, you know, I'm going to put my mom or dad aside. You're not going to do that. But you can, if that relationship is even with your family members, I believe you can talk to them and you tell them that here is a situation that is not helping you. It's stressful for you. You know, I was forced to tell my mom just very recently that mom, you need to be more positive. You know, I want you to not talk about your pains and aches all the time. I want you to be more happy, be more positive. Not only you do that for yourself when you express it to somebody else, but you make me happy too. You know, so we need to have these conversations. When, again, as we said, when we have a little, you know, issue, we should talk about it really at when it's happening, instead of, you know, waiting for months and months and months and years and years and years, and let that to you drain you. So again, you are a very lucky mom, because your children are able to understand the value of unconditional love, to showing love, to expressing love, and being authentic. And they are doing it to you, and you say you're learning from them. It's such a blessing. And so you want to do the same for your parents. You just keep telling them that you love them so much. You send them notes, you send them gifts, you show them that you're there for them. It's not ever too late to learn, ever. And even if they don't verbalize it, because, you know, sometimes it's the culture. In some cultures, they feel they build and develop weak children if they are too emotional. So they want them to stay on their feet and they become independent and solid. But now we know that being solid and being strong means being vulnerable, being authentic, telling when we are hurt, expressing this means being strong, because being strong is being you, because you are already perfect. You don't need to change yourself. But things are changing, but our parents have had different ideas, but you do the same thing. So I think you answered your own question, and you are a very lucky person to have such amazing, because I know Randy, I know how wonderful he is. And that's wonderful.
Thank you, Azita.
You're welcome, Patrick. Hisham, do you want to add something, my friend?
Yes, of course, of course.
And we can speak French if you want, because nobody else is here. So si tu veux. C'est plus facile pour toi, je sais pas.
C'est plus facile comme en anglais, il n'y a pas de souci. Salut à tout le monde. Désolé, j'ai pas pu répondre parce que j'avais un problème de micro.
Oui.
Mais là, vous m'entendez?
Oui, très bien. Oui.
Très bien. D'abord, merci pour le webinaire parce que j'ai joigné à la dernière minute. C'était un petit peu après, quelques minutes après ta présentation, mais je la trouve vraiment très intéressante. Je te remercie beaucoup pour ton partage.
Tu vas recevoir l'enregistrement, Hicham. C'est pas grave. Oui.
Merci. Déjà, pour donner que c'est very insightful, c'est-à-dire qu'il y a quelque chose que j'étais, en fait, je trouvais un petit peu comme banal, en fait, ces sentiments-là, j'étais pas, comment dire, self-aware sur certains petits détails qui font une grande différence. Et vraiment, ça me rappelle qu'on est toujours des êtres émotionnels, c'est-à-dire que à chaque fois, on passe en fait d'un état émotionnel vers un autre et et qu'on doit être conscient qu'on doit toujours prendre la main et contrôler ses émotions. C'est-à-dire, il faut élever ce qu'il dit Monsieur Daniel Goleman, l'intelligence émotionnelle, c'est-à-dire
Oui,
qu'il faut tenir en compte. Et ça me rappelle aussi sur une poésie qui avait écrit à Rumi. Je ne sais
oui,
pas si vous connaissez Rumi.
absolument,
Je-
oui,
J'ai devant moi le texte, je ne sais pas si je peux le partager. C'est en
absolument.
fait le
Oui,
lire,
oui, je donne,
mais c'est en anglais. C'est en anglais. Je
d'accord?
ne l'ai pas en fait. Je vais te le lire. C'est-à-dire que l'idée principale, c'est que l'être humain, il est considéré comme une maison et les émotions, c'est comme les invités.
Hmm.
C'est plus ou moins ça. Je vais le lire. C'est This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The
Ah,
dark thoughts, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes because each has been sent as a guide from beyond.
wow, wow, quelle intelligence à cette
Oui,
époque.
à cette
Wow.
époque, oui.
Hmm. Oui, c'est vrai, parce que on dit, il faut pas, on peut pas vraiment essayer
Oui,
d'éliminer en fait les
voilà,
émotions qu'on ressent. Il faut
c'est ça,
juste les permettre de passer par nous et juste les observer. Parce
c'est
qu'on
ça,
est un être humain, on a des émotions, mais il ne
c'est
faut
ça,
pas les arrêter de venir. Il faut les regarder, avec gentillesse, il faut les observer. Et si il y a une émotion qui ne nous sert pas, il faut juste les remplacer avec gentillesse. OK,
c'est ça,
tu ne me sers pas à ce moment-là, donc je t'invite de me quitter, juste dans la tête. Et
c'est
il
ça,
faut choisir quelque chose d'autre. Et on dit que c'est comme des record player,
c'est ça.
des records. So, si tu as des différents records, donc je ne sais pas comment dire en français,
Enregistrement, enregistrement.
enregistrement, oui. C'est
Voilà.
all the record players, So like the
Ouais.
round thing that you put on the
Yes,
record player. So you're going to
yes,
choose, tu vas choisir une autre. Donc tu vas inviter de cette émotion de quitter et tu
c'est
vas
ça.
choisir une autre émotion à
Voilà.
ce moment-là. Mais tu ne vas pas juste l'ignorer. Tu ne peux pas le faire. Tu peux pas le faire.
Oui,
Comme Rumi a dit, c'est une
c'est ça.
invitée. Mais il faut le respecter.
Il
Très
faut le
clair, le
respecter.
respect.
C'est ça, il faut accepter les émotions telles qu'elles sont, c'est-à-dire que ce soit
Absolument,
négatif ou bien positif. Il
absolument.
faut, c'est-à-dire mitiger cette puissance des émotions, il faut l'accepter, il faut s'adapter, puis après, on va savoir qu'il ne va pas durer, c'est-à-dire c'est comme le temps,
Absolument.
c'est-à-dire
C'est
à un moment
éphémère,
donné, ça ne va pas.
absolument. C'est
C'est ça,
temporaire,
c'est
absolument.
temporaire. Voilà.
C'est très, très joli ce point. Si tu peux le
Oui, c'est
partager après avec nous,
bien sûr,
j'adore
je te le
Romy.
passe.
J'adore
Oui,
Romy.
oui, oui, bien sûr, je te le passe si tu veux. Par quel moyen tu veux, par mail ou bien
Oh, c'est pas grave, n'importe où. Oui, oui, email.
D'accord,
Et
d'accord,
tu peux le partager avec Patty si elle est intéressée.
bien sûr, avec plaisir, avec
Merci,
plaisir.
mes amis. Merci beaucoup.
Merci à toi.
Merci. Et en fait, ce samedi, on va avoir une séance. C'est très intéressant parce que je vais introduire un outil, en fait, c'est un nouveau outil pour la famille, en fait. Donc, c'est pour les familles avec des enfants qui ont, par exemple, pas de problèmes avec les enfants, mais qui ont intéressé à développer les caractéristiques de comprendre mieux leurs enfants. Et on a
D'accord.
utilisé en fait les concepts de mini-disques, mais c'est dans une PowerPoint que c'est vraiment intéressant. Donc, on va l'introduire ce samedi, si vous voulez nous rejoindre.
Bien sûr. Bien
OK,
sûr.
merci beaucoup et bonne journée.
Merci à
Et
toi. Merci à
merci
toi, Zita.
et bonne
Merci.
nuit.
À toi
Au
aussi.
revoir. Bye bye.
Au revoir.
Bye
Au
bye.
revoir.
Bye
Au
bye.
revoir. Salut à la famille.
Bye bye. Salut.
Bonsoir.
Bye bye, ma famille. Au revoir.